What is this? I couldn't help but exclaim in shock as I read the words of a termination notice in front of me. I had been instructed not to make contact during business trips, but this was too important to ignore. I hurriedly called Jack. No answer. I called repeatedly and sent messages, but there was no response. It was past noon. Maybe he couldn't answer because of work, but I had to reach him somehow. After persistently calling, he finally picked up. Hello, Jack. Don't you know not to contact me during work hours? Jack immediately started yelling as soon as he answered. I'm sorry, but it's urgent. I've received a certified letter from the company. I told you not to contact me while I'm on a business trip. Jack was not willing to listen at all. What are you going to do if your actions ruin the contract? It seemed impossible to get him to listen. I decided to keep silent about the termination notice and not contact him anymore. My name is Sarah Johnson, and I'm 30 years old. I work from home as an industrial designer. Simply put, I design the shapes of products. I used to be an employee of a major company working from home, but now I've become independent and freelance. Thankfully, my work is going well, and I'm earning a decent income. At 26, I married Jack, whom I met through a friend's introduction. Even after our marriage, I continued working for the company. However, when I became pregnant with our son Kyle, now 2 years old, I transitioned to working from home. It allowed me to balance work and childcare effectively. Despite a slight reduction in salary compared to my office days, the convenience of working from home outweighed the costs and stresses of commuting and daycare. Our company supported this flexible arrangement, which was a relief. Yet Jack seemed uneasy about my reduced income. Shouldn't you consider going back to the office, even if it means putting Kyle in daycare? With the mortgage and the sluggish economy, every bit helps, Jack, who worked in securities and was meticulous about finances, argued. Well, the costs of daycare would offset much of what I'd earned from going back to the office, I countered. When we married, Jack and I took out a joint mortgage to buy our home. Renting is like throwing money away. It's better to stretch a bit and buy. It'll pay off in the long run, Jack often reasoned, and I agreed. We invested in an apartment near a convenience station, anticipating its appreciation. Life was peaceful until I started working from home. Then Jack's discontent surfaced. It seemed less about finances and more about fairness. If the costs are the same, maybe you should go back to the office. Staying home all day isn't good for your health or social life, he expressed. That's true, but managing childcare and work from home is physically easier for me. With no nearby family for support, it's challenging to find help, I explained. Jack's murmurs revealed deeper feelings. It doesn't seem fair that only you get to stay home. I wish I could too, he confessed. But our jobs are different. Mine, as a designer, allows remote work. Yours in sales requires office presence, I reasoned. That's true, but it still feels uneven that only you get to enjoy this nice house, he sighed. His words caught me off guard. What do you mean by enjoy alone? This is our home, yours, mine, and Kyle's. We're both paying the mortgage, so the rights should be split equally, I retorted firmly to Jack's childish remarks, feeling concerned about his role as a father. Kyle was thriving, and I was successfully juggling childcare and working from home. Encouraged by positive feedback and growing business offers, I even ventured into independence. Around that time, Jack began arriving home late and working weekends. It's a tough economy. I have to put in extra hours, or my sales will suffer, he'd sigh sarcastically. Must be nice for you, working comfortably from home, skipping the crowded commutes, he'd imply, as if belittling my efforts at home. But managing childcare and household chores while working remotely was far from lying around. I confronted him in frustration. I'm not just sitting at home, can't you see that? I contribute to our mortgage too. Oh really? Jack interrupted, his frustration evident. I guess I'm a failure then, struggling to make ends meet with my meager salary. That's not what I meant. Unlike you, with your talent as a designer, I deal with difficult clients daily just to earn a paycheck, he snapped. It felt like Jack always interpreted things negatively. Exhausted, I stopped trying to reason with him. Gradually, I questioned the purpose of our relationship. Despite Jack being Kyle's father, I felt selfish considering separation, especially for Kyle's sake. As I withdrew, Jack became more self-centered, contributing less financially. What was meant to be a joint mortgage increasingly felt like my burden alone. Managing with my designer income was tough but feasible. I suspected Jack knew this, hence his behavior. Perhaps he'd contribute if our home were at risk, knowing his calculative nature. Around that time, suspicions began creeping in. Was Jack seeing someone else and spending money on her? If that were true, drastic action would be necessary. I ensured he settled his debts. Finding proof was crucial, but I had no idea how to go about it. Hiring a detective agency seemed the most reliable but expensive option. Without specific dates, times, or places, it felt like a costly gamble with just a vague suspicion. For now, I managed, but separating from Jack would bring financial uncertainties. Saving money was a priority. Then, one uneasy day, a certified letter from the company arrived while Jack was away on a business trip. 2 nights and 3 days gone. Why send something like this when he was away? Curiosity overcame me, and I opened it, reasoning that if urgent, I needed to contact him immediately. What on earth? I exclaimed aloud. It was a termination notice. Despite being told not to disturb Jack during his trips, I couldn't ignore this. I called him repeatedly. No answer. I sent messages. Silence. It was well past noon. Maybe work kept him from answering, but I had to reach him. After persistent calling, he finally picked up. Hello, Jack. I told you not to call during my work trips. Jack snapped immediately. I'm sorry, but it's urgent. I received a certified letter from the company. Don't disrupt me on a business trip, Jack insisted. What if your actions jeopardize a contract? In the background, I heard another voice. Could it be? I discreetly pressed record. I'm serious. Stop calling. Jack's voice grew more irritated, dismissing the urgency. Okay, I relented, choosing not to disclose the termination notice. I ended the call, frustrated that Jack wouldn't listen when it mattered. It dawned on me that even if Jack lost his job, it wouldn't greatly impact me. As a skilled freelance designer, I had steadily built my career. When I first transitioned to working from home, I was an employee, reporting hours and days off to my company. Now independent, I handled not just former company projects but also new clients, fully freelance. Since going freelance, my workload and earnings had soared, several times what I made as an employee. I could part ways with Jack and thrive independently. Yet ending things like this would still be regrettable. That call, I'm certain it was a woman's voice. Listening closely to the recording, I could discern snippets of conversation. She didn't realize I was on the line and was asking Jack for something, possibly a birthday gift, indicating her birthday was nearing. This could be a pivotal clue in uncovering Jack's affair. If I can gather more clues, I might consider hiring a detective. For now, patience is key. The following evening, Jack returned from his business trip. You know I told you not to disturb me during work. I nearly lost the contract because of your calls, Jack admonished. I apologize. I wondered about the contract he mentioned. Perhaps it was related to a birthday gift for someone else. I concealed my smile as he went on. If you understand, then let's leave it at that. I'm going to take a bath and turn in. Sure. Quietly observing Jack prepare for bed, I waited until he fell asleep before discreetly checking his smartphone. As expected, it was locked. Carefully using his sleeping finger, I unlocked it and began my search. There they were, photos and videos of Jack intimately involved with the same woman, along with messages detailing their encounters, dates, and locations. He must have thought he could keep this hidden from me. How wrong he was. I transferred the evidence to my computer and returned his phone without a trace. Now, planning my next steps, I resolved to make him face the consequences. Identifying the woman from the data was my next task. Reviewing everything meticulously, I focused on the details. The following day, Jack left for work as usual, unaware of my discoveries. I revisited the certified mail, lacking clear explanations but indicating his termination was final. This posed a problem. If Jack lost his job, securing alimony and child support would be challenging. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. He likely spent money on his affair that should have gone towards our family. I needed to recover what I could, including damages from the other woman. As I sifted through the data on my computer, I found a potential lead, a contact listed as Kate in Jack's phone, presumably his mistress. Whether Kate was her real name remained uncertain, but it was a start. Compiling the information, I considered my next move. Should I hire a detective or take legal action? Contemplating my options, a dramatic idea struck me, something straight out of a TV drama. I decided to take matters into my own hands. Hey, I think I need to go back to my parents' place for a bit, I told Jack one evening. Why? He asked, eyeing me with suspicion. It's nothing serious, but my mom's come down with a bad cold and my dad can't manage everything alone. Jack considered my request, feigning contemplation, probably to maintain some semblance of control. How many days are you planning to stay? Probably 2 or 3 days, I replied, looking up at him as if seeking permission. His expression softened and a faint smile appeared. You're a good daughter. Go ahead, he said approvingly. Thank you, I responded, aiming to keep him satisfied. When are you leaving? I wanted to leave today, but it's too late now. I'll head out first thing tomorrow morning right after you leave for work. Okay, got it. Take care, Jack replied, unusually kind, likely playing into my strategy. The next morning, he left the house as usual, oblivious to his termination. I wondered where he was going, but I needed him out so I could execute my plan. With a regretful look, I saw him off and focused on my preparations. Kyle was in good hands with a reliable babysitter I trusted, someone who had cared for him before during my work and errands. I messaged Jack. I'm on the train now. Sorry for the inconvenience. Should be back in 3 days. He responded promptly. Okay, take care. That night, as anticipated, Jack brought Kate home. I had professionals gather evidence of their rendezvous. While the data from Jack's phone would suffice for divorce proceedings, I wanted a personal reckoning. On the first day of my plan, Jack and Kate returned home in the afternoon and stayed until the following evening. Then came the climax. Anxiously waiting, unsure of their return time, I was prepared for their arrival. Late that night, just before midnight, they stumbled in, clearly intoxicated, laughing and collapsing onto the bed in a tangled embrace. Now, welcome home, I said, swinging open the closet door with a resounding crash. Startled, Kate screamed and fell off the bed, hitting her head against the bedside cabinet, a fitting consequence. What the? Jack wasn't thrown off the bed, but he froze in an awkward position, lying flat on his back with his arms awkwardly extended. It seemed my sudden appearance startled him so much that he inadvertently pushed Kate off the bed, causing her to hit her head. Welcome home, dear, I greeted, my voice laced with irony. Jack remained sprawled in that peculiar pose, wide-eyed and staring at me, looking utterly ridiculous. Oh, looks like we have a visitor, I remarked dryly, stepping out from the closet and standing beside the bed, gazing down at Jack with a smirk. I ignored the unconscious woman on the floor. Why you? Who is this lady? It's quite rude to be sleeping in someone else's house like this, Jack stammered, clearly flustered. Well, that's all right, let's have a little chat, I said casually, pulling out my phone to make a call. Who are you calling? Jack asked, his voice tinged with apprehension. Oh, just someone, I replied nonchalantly, humming a tune as I ended the call and turned my attention back to Kate. What should we do with her? What do you mean, what should we? Wake her up or let her sleep? Jack retorted, his confusion apparent. I glanced between Jack and Kate, then decided, all right then, we don't want any accidents, so let's wake her up. Hey, I said, shaking Kate. She groaned and slowly opened her eyes. Hey, you, I repeated, and Kate blinked in confusion before realizing her predicament and freezing in shock. We're going to have a conversation now. Come with me, I instructed firmly. Kate remained still, seemingly unsure how to respond. Come with me, I repeated more assertively. Yes, yes, she murmured reflexively after a moment of hesitation. I led both of them to the dining room and had them sit side by side at the table. I wasn't expecting guests, but I suppose you've made yourselves at home. The table will do, I stated flatly, indicating there would be no hospitality. Now, I have some questions. If you're honest, I might consider certain things, I said, watching their expressions closely. Like what? Jack asked nervously. Perhaps minimizing the consequences you'll face, I replied, causing both of their faces to pale. So, when did this start? What? Kate blinked rapidly, while Jack's eyes darted around nervously. Since when? I reiterated, my tone unwavering. Today. Today was the first time, right? Jack interjected quickly. Yes, yes, Kate agreed, nodding hastily. Really? I pressed, studying their reactions. Yes, we just met today, Jack confirmed, with Kate nodding in agreement. Ah, that's a lie, I calmly interjected. What? Jack and Kate exclaimed in unison, their faces registering surprise and apprehension. The professionals I had summoned arrived promptly. I gestured for Jack and Kate to wait while I ushered them in. The door to the dining room opened, and two detectives, A man and a woman in business attire entered. Please, I said, indicating for them to proceed. The woman detective withdrew an envelope while the man powered up his laptop. Here, take a look, the detective said, turning the laptop screen towards Jack and Kate. It displayed footage from the previous day, clearly showing Jack and Kate entering the room and subsequent interactions. Hey, isn't this illegal filming? Jack protested, his voice tinged with concern. That's right, it's against the law, Kate added, echoing Jack's sentiment. The detectives calmly explained the legality of their actions. While covert filming without consent is generally illegal, it is permissible in cases where it serves to gather evidence of infidelity. Moreover, their surveillance was conducted professionally under a client's request, thus falling within legal boundaries. So, this isn't a crime, I confirmed, directing the question towards both Jack and Kate. They sat in silence, heads bowed in acknowledgement. Once again, when did it start? I pressed, my tone firm. Neither of them answered immediately. Since when? You claimed it was today, but that's clearly not true, I continued, staring directly at Jack and Kate. Well, it started yesterday, Jack finally confessed, meeting my gaze with a mix of shame and resignation. I'm sorry, I lied earlier. It began yesterday. We had too much to drink and things escalated. Kate nodded in agreement, her expression apologetic. Yes, I'm sorry too. So, you admit to the affair? I asked, seeking confirmation. Yes, we're sorry. It was a mistake, Jack admitted, his voice filled with remorse. It was just this once. We're truly sorry, Kate added, tears welling up in her eyes. If that's the case, then who are these people? I questioned, placing my laptop in front of them. I displayed photos and videos extracted from Jack's smartphone, along with their social media interactions. Jack and Kate exchanged uneasy glances, realizing the evidence was irrefutable. Ah, another lie, Jack murmured. Taking data from someone's phone without permission is a crime, Kate interjected, her voice trembling slightly. Actually, it's not, I clarified calmly. As you heard, the detectives were hired to uncover the truth. It's within legal boundaries. Jack and Kate fell silent, resigned to the reality of their situation. Eventually, they began to divulge the full extent of their affair. It had started 2 years ago, shortly after Kyle was born. Jack cited feelings of neglect and loneliness following Kyle's birth as contributing factors. He admitted to seeking solace in Kate's companionship, though he expressed regret for his actions. Kate, visibly upset, corroborated the timeline of their relationship but remained silent on further details, seeming reluctant to disclose more. I'll arrange another day to talk with both your parents and Kate's parents, I informed the detectives, thanking them as they left. Turning to Kate, I gently suggested, could you leave too? Maybe stay at a hotel or something. You might catch up with Jack if you're quick. I wouldn't do such a thing, Kate replied defensively. Whatever, just leave, I insisted, not wanting to prolong the encounter. After ensuring both Jack and Kate were gone, I scheduled a meeting with our respective parents. My in-laws arrived first, visibly distraught and apologetic. My own parents joined shortly after, their faces a mask of restrained anger. I presented them with all the evidence, including transcripts from the day I caught Jack and Kate. So, I want a divorce. I'll take custody of Kyle and demand child support and damages, I stated firmly. Jack attempted to negotiate the amount, but I remained resolute. You've deceived me for 2 years and brought another woman into our home. On top of that, you've stopped contributing to our household expenses. My in-laws were stunned by these revelations, and my father-in-law even moved to strike Jack, but I intervened swiftly. I don't want to see that. If you're going to do it, please do it where I can't see. Eventually, my in-laws agreed to cover the damages and child support. As for the apartment, I opted to take payment for my share of the mortgage up until now and relinquish the rest to Jack. I don't want to live in a tainted house. Just pay me my share and then you can do whatever you want with it, I asserted, knowing that selling it immediately would only result in a loss. It was clear Jack couldn't sustain the mortgage payments alone. Later, I learned the reason behind Jack's termination from his company. He had caused significant financial losses to a client repeatedly. This further underscored the depth of his deception and irresponsibility. I thought those transactions were surefire profitable, but each one turned out badly, Jack explained, trying to justify his actions. Feeling overshadowed by my success after becoming independent and earning more, Jack resorted to unauthorized stock trades for his clients, resulting in substantial losses. Despite the consequences, he persisted, believing he could eventually recover the losses. Unaware that his company had caught on, he used his time with Kate to distract himself. That day, he had lied to his company, claiming I was ill and needing his care. Who sends a termination notice to a house with a sick person? Who's being unreasonable here? It was absurd coming from someone who fabricated an excuse to travel with another woman. His justification for the affair was equally incredulous. After Kyle was born, you stopped paying attention to me. That's expected when there's a baby. Even self-care becomes secondary, let alone tending to a grown man like a child. Frustrated by my focus on Kyle, Jack sought solace in Kate's attention. Kate was young and pretty, hanging on my every word. She made me feel valued again. Their relationship deepened after her 20th birthday. They first met when she was 19. I bought Kate everything she wanted. Her requests were endearing. "Sarah, you earn enough to buy whatever you want, so you never ask me for anything." To fund Kate's desires, he ceased contributing to our household. "The apartment was always your domain. I merely slept there, so it seemed fair for you to pay. Sarah, if you returned to the office, our time at home would be equal." That explained why he wanted me to abandon working from home. Jack's excuses were exhausting and illogical, yet he blamed me entirely. If only Sarah had continued working and supported me, none of this would have happened, he lamented. Even my father-in-law broke down in tears upon hearing these words. It was pitiful, but I couldn't dwell on it. Although their agreement to pay the damages and child support I demanded eased my financial concerns, it did little to heal my wounds or grant forgiveness. I also secured separate damages from Kate, which her responsible parents promptly covered. While I had initially threatened double damages for lies, I upheld my principles in settling the matter. "I'm sorry," Kate apologized sincerely, standing before me with her parents, a far cry from the tipsy woman I had confronted earlier. She opened up about her past. Originally from a rural area, Kate was captivated by the stark contrast of city life when she arrived. Her college peers exuded a flashy, fashionable aura that she felt compelled to emulate. To keep up with them, she took a job at a bar where she met Jack. He told me he was on the brink of divorcing his wife, pending only because of their child. I believed him. Kate appeared to genuinely care for Jack. He was charming and well off. He bought me whatever I wanted. I was happy that he listened to me. That day, Jack brought Kate to our apartment, claiming they would soon live there together once I left. He probably wanted to save on hotel expenses, but Kate took his words to heart. I thought we would build a life together here, and it made me hopeful. But then Jack dismissed me as a mere mistake, Kate said tearfully. That's when I realized I had been deceived. Her remorse was evident, and I couldn't deny that I knew Jack was married when she got involved. I was aware of his marriage, yet I still got involved. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Kate and her parents apologized sincerely. The truth remains murky. Perhaps Jack did have genuine feelings for Kate initially. However, in the end, he prioritized his own interests. His understanding of their relationship was superficial at best. He behaved selfishly, like a child seeking attention, oscillating between feeling neglected in his marriage and seeking solace elsewhere. Kate would do well to move on from such a man. Kate has since left college and returned to her rural roots with her parents to start anew. I'll work hard to repay what my parents covered as soon as possible. Despite my initial disdain for her, I now wish Kate nothing but a stable and fulfilling life. As for Jack, he was rightfully fired from his job and faced legal repercussions for the financial losses he caused. It was expected. He had lied about taking care of me and misused funds for his own pleasure, leading to his downfall. Despite receiving a suspended sentence, his future is uncertain. I feel sympathy for my in-laws who are good people, but this outcome was warranted. I've moved back in with my parents, where they help me care for Kyle while I focus on my career. Despite the personal upheaval, my professional life is thriving. Watching Kyle grow brings me solace. For now, I feel no need for a man in my life. Yet like Kate, who has embarked on a fresh start, I also hope to find someone truly trustworthy someday. I believe there's a good person out there for me. Life is too long to be defined by one setback. I want to show Kyle resilience and forward thinking, ensuring he never succumbs to the kind of dependency his father exhibited. Therefore, I will continue to look forward, hold my head high, and keep moving forward. I refuse to give up on my pursuit of happiness.